2K just dropped their first look at the WWE 2K gameplay trailer during the Royal Rumble. Let's break down some of the hidden details that are found in that trailer. So first off, the trailer opens with a brand new line from Booker T showcasing that there is in fact new commentary this year. Obviously the game has an emphasis on CM Punk as he is the cover star and the main character in 2K Showcase, but with the inclusion of this new commentary, I'm really curious how the commentary is actually going to work this year, because obviously we're getting new commentary from Wade Barrett and Booker T, which you can see in the screenshots. There are images of Wade Barrett and Booker T at ringside with Corey Graves off to the side. However, at later parts in the trailer, we can also see Byron Saxton at ringside and Corey Graves sitting in the middle, which isn't usually how they're sat. Usually Michael Cole is always in the middle, so I'm really curious to see how the announcing team works in this game, how the commentary works, because can you choose what commentators you have, or are you able to kind of dynamically mix and match different announcers? Like, how does it work? Why are we seeing these different commentators sat in different positions? It's a really strange little detail, but it makes me wonder, like, have I uncovered something strange? Why is everyone sitting in weird places, and is there an option to maybe customize the commentary team that you're using on these shows? We get our first look at CM Punk, Triple H, Stephanie Vicaire, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Eddie Guerrero, Dom Mysterio, Triple H, Razor Ramon, Joe Hendry, Seth Rollins, El Grande Americano, Rey Fenix, Penta, Cody Rhodes, and that is an insane selection of people from the roster. But those are our first looks at some of the people that are going to be in this year's game, with some obviously new talent joining us like Rey Fenix, which is very, very exciting. We get a shot of Logan Paul hitting that slingshot clothesline, whatever he calls it, I don't know what he calls it, but he hits that slingshot clothesline into John Cena, confirming in the background, however, that we are getting the Clash in Paris arena. Unfortunately, we don't get a good shot of the stage, but the banner does at least confirm that the arena is going to be in the game. We also get another quick glimpse here at Rey Fenix hitting Shinsuke Nakamura with some kind of move here. I don't know if this is his finisher or whatever, but either way, first look at Rey Fenix. I think he's going to be one of the more popular characters in the game. I think a lot of people are going to want to put Rey Fenix and Penta together in their tag teams for Universe mode and stuff. So very cool to see Rey Fenix, since he just seems to have missed the cutoff for last year, but he's very firmly made it into this year's game. We get a very quick shot of Braun Breaker spearing Randy Orton. Braun is wearing kind of his more modern badass gear, which is very, very cool. I didn't really like his gear in the last games. I'm really glad that he's gotten a costume change for this year, especially now that he's part of the Vision. Cody Rhodes hits a Cody Cutter on Seth Rollins, and we get confirmation here that the Crown Jewel in Perth event is in the game. Of course, this is actually where Seth Rollins unfortunately injured himself. However, good to know that the arena is going to make the game this year. And we do actually get a look at this stage, as it is the first shot in this trailer. Finally, the return of the Inferno match comes back to WWE 2K26. We get our first look at the ring surrounded by the fire. Unfortunately though, we do also get confirmation that the ring skirt in the old Raw arena is still broken. 2K, please, this has been years. This apron is misaligned. It's not supposed to be that low down. Please fix the texture on that ring skirt. It makes me not want to use the arena because the ring skirt is broken. The apron is not right. So please, please, please fix it. It's been years, literally years. Regardless, let's ignore the ring skirt and let's talk about the Inferno match. So the Inferno match is a weird one. I think it's very cool. I'm really excited to see how the match actually plays. I don't, however, think that the fire looks great, and that's really unfortunate, especially with it being kind of, this is a next-gen experience, and this is our first time experiencing the game on like the PS5 and Xbox Series and PC. Like, this is supposed to be the move forward, and then the match here, I don't know, the fire doesn't look great. We also get our first look at Kane, and again, Kane has this weird, the mask conforms to his face, but the face looks a bit kind of like duck face, like the chin is too squished in, and the mask never looked like that. So that's really disappointing that the Kane's mask just doesn't look right on these models. It never has, and it still doesn't seem to look that good here. Regardless, we do also get our first look at the Ministry Darkside Undertaker here as he slams Kane down multiple times, and we see the fire shoot up during this Inferno match with all the big landings. The fire then shoots up out of these things on the apron. But yeah, I don't know, especially with the camera being so close, I'm not really wowed by this. It doesn't look great. Graphically, it just doesn't look as good as the old ones, and I think that's a really big shame. I mean, hopefully, again, this is a major trailer for them. I was going to say hopefully this is early footage, but this isn't early footage. This is the announced trailer for the game. This is supposed to blow us away, and I'm trying to remain optimistic. I'm excited to see how the match plays. I just think, first impression, the fire doesn't look great. Moving on, we get our first look at Michin, also known as Mia Yim, against Chelsea Green in the dumpster match. Now, the dumpster match probably realistically going to be playing exactly the same as the casket match. Hopefully the mechanics have been shifted a little bit to be a bit more fair. I think everyone who ever played an ambulance match on my faction realizes just how frustrating the match can be. Hopefully they've kind of made it a little bit easier to win the match, perhaps, in certain scenarios, and maybe so that the matches don't go so long. But very cool to see its inclusion here. Hopefully, you know, it's just a new match type for us, another match type that we can play around with, and hopefully for 2K wasn't too hard to implement, considering that the mechanics were already there for the casket. And in the next shot, we got confirmation here that the Evolution 2 pay-per-view has made the game, as well as the arena, some of the character models. There was confirmation from Trish Stratus outside of this trailer that her Evolution gear made it into the game. There's also confirmation on the side as well that we are getting the new announce tables. These announce tables were changed sometime around WrestleMania last year, and we're finally, I think it was actually for the Netflix debut, not necessarily WrestleMania, but either way, we have the new announce tables here, so hopefully we'll get to see how they break and how they work in the game. But either way, modders did add them in last year, but it's cool to see that they've officially, nice little detail, you know, they've made it into this year's game. One of the cool things that they added in this year is barricade fighting. So in the previous year, last year in 2K25, you were able to climb the barricade and you were able to do diving attacks off the barricade. And it is very, very cool, but all you could really do was either dive off of the barricade or get pulled off and kind of like a can animation. However, this year, you can also climb the barricade and you can actually fight your opponent on the barricade and do some cool fighting things here. So here we can see Naomi doing this crazy DDT to Jade off of the barricade onto the floor, and it looks sick as hell. So I'm really excited to see what kind of moves we can do from this barricade, and also how it kind of implements in other parts of the game, because we know from interviews that this part of the game actually came from the island, and it just so happens to work really well here on the barricade as well. This section might look really weird. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk squaring off at Crown Jewel in Perth, and Drew extends his hand for a handshake. Punk seems to accept the handshake, but then gets smacked. Now apparently this is because the game now features new introduction animations, kind of like the old SmackDown vs. Raw game, where different animations and different ways of starting a match can happen, determined by the player or by the AI. So you can either choose to do one of these animations at the start of a match, or the AI can choose to do one, and you follow along with it. And it's just a new dynamic way of starting a match that can maybe give someone an advantage and someone a disadvantage, or maybe if it's a handshake, maybe they're both amicable and they can be friends. I don't know, but either way, I think it could be really cool for something like Universe Mode. I think it's really going to add a lot of depth to the way that matches play out, especially in Universe Mode. So I'm really curious to see how that's been implemented and really what it means for kind of everyday matches, and what kind of benefits do you get from winning or losing these minigames. Rhea Ripley hits this insane riptide on China off the top rope onto the steel stairs, emphasizing again, we are getting new and improved weapon physics this year. Weapon physics are supposed to be this whole new thing. You can see a little bit of the ragdolling as well as China fits between the gap in the stairs, and yeah, it looks sick as hell. I really want to see more of how these like physics interactions and weapons actually play out in the game. The island returns in WWE 2K26 in a new environment. Now, this seems to be kind of a fighting environment, so I'm assuming that this is a brawling environment. This is what they call the Scrapyard Brawl, and it seems to be this kind of just mix match of all these different locations, and it's kind of giving me again those kind of 2K20 original vibes of like, here is this kind of realistic environment with all these different objects and you can play around with them and do weird shit with them. But it seems to tie into the island and how the story is being told through the island, so I'm curious to see how that all plays out. But either way, the environment is looking cool. One of the key features of this environment is this really thin piece of metal that you can walk across to get to another platform, and it seems to be that you can fight your opponents and knock them off of it, again, just like that mechanic we saw on the Barricade. We get some very quick looks at the likes of Io Sky, Javon Evans, and Devon Dudley, but the Devon Dudley thing especially I want to highlight because we get to see for the first time stackable tables. Devon stacks the table up. You can see in the next shot that he does actually put an opponent through those two tables, so the return of stackable tables, very, very cool. This would seem to be in the SmackDown Fist arena. A retro Eddie Guerrero here against Kurt Angle grabs this United States Championship, it looks like the WCW US title, and he grabs it off the podium at ringside and then proceeds to use it as a weapon, whipping the opponent, again confirming that we can finally in title matches take the belt off the podium at ringside and use it as a weapon, which is going to be great for those hardcore matches where you want to use the belt as a weapon, or alternatively in universe mode, should you want to maybe disqualify yourself in a match, you can get yourself disqualified by using the title as a weapon. Or even if the referee is somehow knocked down, there are situations when the referee gets knocked down or whatever, and you can maybe cheat to, you know, try and win the match. If the referee's down and he doesn't see it, you can't get disqualified. So go out there, grab the belt, and try and get a win. We then get some shots of the Money in the Bank Los Angeles arena. This, of course, was in the LA Intuit Dome, which is a fairly new building with lots of really cool tech. Most notably, it has this gigantic LED board above the ring and lots of really cool lights. So I'm curious to see how the entrances play out in this kind of arena. Alternatively, we also seem to see a version of the Raw Intuit Dome, the Raw Netflix debut. I'm pretty sure that this could be hinting at the CM Punk versus Seth Rollins match that happened on the Raw Netflix debut, potentially appearing in the 2K showcase. And of course, we get our biggest tease yet. John Cena in the Survivor Series arena with an unmarked bag, spilling out thumbtacks all over the ring mat. And of course, he gets Rusev up for the attitude adjustment, and just before landing the attitude adjustment, the camera cuts, so we can't actually see how it plays out. But the return of the thumbtacks, I'm really, really excited to see how it plays out. This could be like such an awesome mechanic for your hardcore matches, and it's very ECW, I guess. I mean, ECW didn't use thumbtacks very often, but yeah, I'm really excited to see how this plays out. It's a really cool thing for the video game to have, and I can't wait to see how hardcore matches play in this game. Like, it just looks like it's going to be awesome. We also get some further confirmations that the WWE Archive Backstage Brawl Arena returns. We also get a very strange confirmation that Ring of Honor independent CM Punk is in the game, presumably as part of the 2K showcase. It's still very cool nonetheless. And then just to round things out, Armageddon 2008 arena appears in this game. Now, this arena is one of my favorite stages. It's such a cool stage. I'm pretty sure elsewhere on the card we had Jeff Hardy winning the WWE title off Triple H or something. But regardless, this is potentially hinting at the fact that in the 2K showcase we could potentially be playing the CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio match that happened at that event. Either way, great to have the arena represented in the game because it is one of the most visually appealing stages that they've ever done and could potentially hint at more within the 2K showcase. But that's everything that I've found. Let me know if I've missed anything down in the comments, and if you want to see more WWE 2K news so that you get kept up to date with all the new WWE 2K news. With that being said, I hope you have a great day, and that's going to be us, so bye for now.